Welcome to Geeking Out. I'm your host, Moose. Your co-host, Uncle Tony over here. Congratulations when your sibling had a kid.
Yeah.
We have Bear here again. We have a special guest. Every guest we have is special. That's why I keep on saying special guest.
I'm Zach.
He is Zach. That is correct. Wasn't sure if you wanted to have some special name or something, so...
I don't know. I don't have one, so I don't want to make my own nickname.
Okay. We're unprofessional. Don't ask those things beforehand, so that's obviously what happened.
That's how we roll.
Yes.
So you're just going to go with Zach?
Yeah.
Yep. All right, cool.
All right.
So as you can see, this hand, just kidding, where are we? This way. Up there, my hand's disappearing.
Oh my god, it's magic!
Follow us at Geeking Out Network without a K on Twitter. Go to our wonderful website, geekingoutpodcast.com. I'm looking up like I don't know what it is. As you can see, we're on Google Play, we're on iTunes, we're on Podbean, and we're on YouTube.
Yay!
And Instagram as well. If you search for Geeking Out Network, you'll find us. So today, we're actually going to be talking about LARPing. Hence, instead of the space behind us, or trees. That's obvious connection. That's the only thing you would think of if you looked at a forest would be LARPing, so...
We're not floating through space today.
No.
We have
We're on
landed.
the ground. We've landed.
We are in the
We're
forest.
refueling.
And we have stopped to pee.
We're
Again,
already...
on this planet, and we have encountered Zach.
Well,
Lucky us.
all right. Here we go. Let's go, gentlemen. Let's get into character.
Yes.
And we were like, hey, you want to make a video in my friend's basement?
Yeah. I was expecting it...
This is actually my backyard. You don't see the trees?
Yeah.
Come on.
Ruining the immersion. You'd be kicked out of the game.
Tony
keeps
Already-
telling us we're inside.
Already I've fucked up this podcast. I'm sorry.
It happens in the first 30 seconds of us doing
It happens every show. All right.
So as our guest, I'm going to ask you some questions.
All right.
So how'd you get into LARPing?
It was a gradual combination of I've always enjoyed being a perpetual 5-year-old. So when I was little, I would go outside, find the best stick, and I'd fight endless waves of putties from the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And they were a lot easier to fight though in my yard.
Yeah.
But
You
I
just
would,
had to hit the Z or whatever on the
yeah,
chest?
those were the shitty ones that
Yeah.
Lord Zed made, and he was like, they're better. But then they had a destruct button, so they're not
Yeah.
better. And then I became... No, I'm just kidding. So that mindset of I want to go pretend never left. It got put on the back burners for a bit until late high school when I started playing tabletop games for the first time. One of which was with this guy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It was a fun time. And that's when I started getting into role playing, and instead of just being a 5-year-old fighting imaginary putties, actually fulfilling a role and stuff.
Even back then, you were bringing in weapons that you had made.
Yeah, and I always liked making weapons. We used to make them out of hockey sticks and duct tape and hockey tape, and those were very unsafe. And then we got a little bit more safe.
Did you like Ninja Turtles too, like Casey Jones? Is that what you're going for?
I never got too into the Ninja Turtles, but I did like Casey Jones.
Yeah.
But it gradually happened. A friend of mine was like, "Hey, you should try LARPing," and I had always wanted to. Me and my friends had organized a impromptu get together in the forest where I live, in the reservation in Fall River.
Let's beat each other with weapons.
Yeah,
Yay!
and park rangers showed up and kicked us out, and they were like,
bastard.
And they were like, "Well, you're not really breaking any rules, but there's dirt bikers out here, and they might run you guys over." It's like,
But we have weapons.
yeah, well, but that's the dirt bikers' call to not hit us, right?
Right.
Well, they are going kind of fast, but I'm sure you could hear them a mile away.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and
I
that
would
was
think
one of the things we said, and they were like, "Nope, you'll die." So
We'll die from a sword too. Come on,
Yeah.
guys.
So we got shut down by the man, and then
Oh, man, always bring you down.
yep, and then my friends and I would still make weapons and fight each other and stuff. And then I ended up attending my first LARP in Connecticut. I'm actually going there tomorrow morning. Mythical Journeys. It's pretty cool. It's a fantasy LARP, and I loved it. I got to go out as a cast member. You can go as cast, or you can go as a player. If you're cast, you're basically an NPC, and if you're player, you're a player. I went out as a bandit. I went out as a wolf. That was my favorite. I didn't
You
get
played a wolf?
Yeah, I couldn't talk or anything. I was just I literally just hung out in the forest and like laid down by a stream and like got up and like.
Did you?
That sounds like a perfect day.
Yeah,
It was
sounds
awesome.
like really
And then I
relaxing.
came across players, and any players who weren't shaman, I attacked. So I'd like run up and like knock their weapons out of their hands and like race by. Obviously I can't use claws, so I'd use like 2 short swords to like represent claws and stuff.
Oh, cool.
And I'd just like attack people and like run away. But I was, a single wolf, so I ended up getting killed. But it was awesome.
Did you go full furry and dress as a wolf?
No,
or?
nope.
Okay, no. Did
Think
you have
more,
a sign that said, "I'm a wolf"?
No, I had
My
a
name
pretty,
is Wolf.
Yeah, I had a pretty good costume. It was none of my costuming; it was costuming that like the LARP like provided
Okay.
for its cast members. But it was like think of like how you'd play a druid that dresses like a wolf.
Okay.
Not so much like that guy's a furry or that guy's an actual wolf.
Yeah.
Nothing against furries. But it was like a
I would imagine a cloak, like a big
Yeah.
fur cloak.
And like a wolf's head.
Wolf's head.
It was like a wooden wolf mask, and
Oh, very cool.
I had black fur like underneath it, kind of just hanging back, so it looked like I had like
Oh, that,
hair
all
and
right,
stuff.
yeah.
And aside from my like Timberlands that I was wearing, it looked pretty good.
Nice.
Well, you need traction in the woods.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm sure most wolves would have some Timberlands if they wanted good traction.
Oh yeah, the Timberwolves.
Yes. That makes
There you
perfect
go.
sense.
Yeah.
Done.
Timberland, Timberwolves.
Now, when you went to go like as a cast member, did you know in advance like what role you were going to be playing, or did you find out like then and there?
I found out then and there, and for the most part, for like your first time casting, that's the experience you have. They'll be like, "Hey, we need 5 bandits to go out with this team lead." A team lead
Okay.
is like someone who's been casting for a while. They know the forest.
Okay.
It's really easy to get lost at some forests.
I would imagine,
And-
especially if you're like so submersed into it.
Oh yeah, yeah. And at first, it was hard for me to like get into the mindset.
Of a wolf?
That one was easier because it was like I'm just by myself in the forest, running around and stuff. What's
Yeah.
that noise? I'm actually scared. Like,
Is that a real wolf? What the hell's going on?
whereas like the first time I'm out as a bandit, and it's like, how do I talk these people into giving me money? And do I just
Oh.
attack them, or But then it got easier, and
I would be like, I'm a bandit. Give me money.
you could do that.
You're a noob. You'll die. And then
Maybe.
battle commences.
Yep.
I'll bring a sword.
Big sword.
All right.
Now, how would you define what LARPing is?
Well, that's a good one.
All right. It's a fully immersive theatrical experience. So you get your obviously you go to the movies and you watch a movie and stuff. You get that experience, but it's on like an outsider perspective. Whereas at a LARP or even in tabletop, you're immersing yourself that much more in the world, and you have the ability to affect change or cause change.
Mm-hmm.
Tabletop, you roll your dice to simulate randomness. At a LARP, you actually do stuff and hope you don't get killed by the really strong NPCs and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really the most immersive way that you can kind of like exist in that,
In that realm or in
Yeah.
that in that mentality.
Yeah, it's being a 5-year-old again.
When I was like looking it up on YouTube and whatnot, that's like one of the big things I noticed. Like instead of rolling dice, you just actually go and hit fucking people with your swords and whatnot. So there's no dice rolling; you just go and hit them. The weird thing. So explain to me, like, I'm a wizard and I want to shoot a magic missile at somebody. How does that work?
I should have brought spell packets. So, at most games, you'll use something called the spell packet, which is cloth filled with birdseed and like some kind of string or something to tie it off, and it's kind of like shaped like a pouch. Like it'll be like a bulk
Like
of
a dice bag? Like a
yeah,
tiny little
pretty
dice
much.
bag?
It looks like a tiny dice bag. You throw those at people, and you call the spell. So if you want to do, at one of the games I attend, Legends, if you throw a firebolt at someone, fire is the qualifier, or not qualifier, it's like the descriptor, right? So it does fire damage, and bolt does 3, automatically does 3. So
Okay.
I'd hit you with that, and getting hit with any bolt, you're taking 3 damage. If
Okay.
you're a troll that's weak to fire, then you take however much more.
Does everybody have the same amount of hit points? Does it vary?
It varies. You can different games have different health systems. There's some games that you have upwards of like 50 points. At most games, it's lower, and
50 points.
Yeah.
Okay.
most
doing 3 damage is
not
minimal.
much. But at like my game at Blessing, 3 damage is like for your first game. That's almost half your health if you max your health. So if you
Like a level 1 character.
level 1 character, game 1 character, you're starting if you spec all your points into Vitality, which is hit points.
Mm-hmm.
Most you can get is 7.
All right.
Yeah. Um,
So are there like magic spells as you go up, as the wizard goes up in level? Are there magic spells that can really fuck somebody up?
Oh yeah,
or-
yep. Different games have different mechanics to them and stuff.
Okay.
I've done 2 fantasy games, and then I run a post-apocalyptic game, and there's different levels of magic spells. So you can have darts, which do 1 damage, bolts, which do 3, and I don't know if either of those 2 games have spells that do more than that. But there's also effects like Slay, which if you hit someone in the torso, they immediately start bleeding out, like they're dying.
Oh.
There's death calls.
That
There's
sounds nice.
final death. If you get hit with a final death, your character is permed. You could have been playing that for years, and they're now gone.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That would suck.
Yep. It's like ripping your character sheet. Yeah.
So,
Jeez.
like hypothetically, I'm focusing on wizards for some reason. So I'm a wizard. Do I have like shitty hit points because I'm a wizard?
It really depends on how you build your character. Some games will.
Because that's how it's like in D&D. Like the wizard does not have great hit points, and he has to stand behind the tank or something.
I mean,
basically be a support character or lobby some fucking magic missiles or some shit.
I'm sure there are some games where it's more limited, but all the ones that I've attended, you can spend character points or experience points on as much vitality as you can get. And if you want to get spells, some games have you go into classes, like Mythical Journeys makes you go into classes. Legends, you can kind of just get skills as you interact, and then my game Blessing, anyone can learn any skill they want to. It's kind of like Fallout.
Okay.
The more time you spend doing certain things in game, the more you learn that skill, and then eventually you can just spend experience points to get those skills and stuff.
Okay. So you can have a pretty well-rounded character that can actually fight with a sword and maybe throw a couple of magic spells too. You know what? Okay.
Absolutely. Lots of spell swords.
I'm actually pretty surprised. Sorry. I'm pretty surprised like that there's like an actual like leveling system.
Yeah, that's what I was going to get to as well.
Okay. Yeah, so now like there has to be some kind of like honor system, right? Where
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not like it's whoever is hosting the game is in charge of everybody's like character sheets or information like
So most games will have like an online character builder or something.
Okay.
Our game has that, where you can log onto the website and you build your character. A week before game, we print out your character sheets. We hand them to you at game. So you have your stats and stuff. If your character has any like afflictions or curses on them, in our game,
It happens.
yeah. In our game, addiction is a problem in our game. If your character,
Scaro, one of our
Yeah.
players
It's a problem in our game
Yeah.
too.
so if your character gets addicted to anything, game 1, you might show up game 2 and find out like, oh, you have an addiction. Once every hour, you're nauseous for 5 minutes. You can't use any skills. And,
Awesome.
you know,
Oh wow.
and that'd basically be like a quest line. They'd have to go figure out how to stop being addicted to whatever.
Right, how to cure that, that ailment.
Yeah. And so for the most part, we know our players' stats. We know our cast members' stats and stuff. Players have to keep track of, and that's where the honor system comes in.
Okay.
Of if you like kick my ass, I should take all my hits. I shouldn't ignore some hits.
Right.
Do you keep track of your hits, or does the people, are they like refs and officiators over the?
Some games have refs. Players police themselves, and it's assumed that you're going to play legitimately.
Okay.
But at the same time, if a player or if a cast member is like, that guy is not taking his hits and stuff, they'll let logistics know, and logistics will handle it.
Okay. So there are teams or like departments for this.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. No, that's cool. Because I know like in certain games like airsoft, like airsoft guns, like because it's not leaving a mark like paintball would. There's an honor system. It's like if you got hit,
Yeah.
raise their arms up, and just walk off the field.
Mm.
And I'm sure there's other like games that would do that, but I don't know, like how often could a conflict occur if like somebody's like, oh no, I'm totally like landing those hits, and like does that happen often, or like do some people like to try to cheat the game?
There definitely are some players, and there's some cast members that do it. I mean, it's a very noob-ish thing to do.
I would think so.
On the whole, I've had mostly good experiences with players and cast, like counting their hits that they're taking and stuff, and playing legitimately. Once in a while, there'll be like somebody who's cheesing it a bit, but like at the end of the day, they are paying for the weekend. So like, I'm always cast. I don't really play that much. I like to be behind the scenes. At the end of the day, they are paying for an experience. They should enjoy their experience. If they're blatantly cheating, that's one thing, but like, they're not counting a hit to their stomach because you tapped them really quick or something, then
Okay,
Not that big of a deal.
yeah.
Right.
For the most part, the community is it's a really good community. Very
That's
accepting, very open community.
that's awesome. I like that. That's
Do you-
cool.
Do you find that like some of the actual people that are doing it are actually good at fighting with swords or axes and whatnot?
There's definitely people that are good at fighting, and then there's definitely people that are good at LARP fighting, and those are two different things. That's not to say that a good swordsman isn't going to kick some ass. He probably is going to kick... What's the language barrier here?
Nothing.
Yeah. No holds barred.
All right.
Don't
Fucking
you
go
fucking
at it.
swear.
Well, I know no, I'm not going to get back into the balls discussion, but...
That was all recorded.
We only talk about my dick before the show.
All right.
All right. Proceed. Carry on.
Forgot what I was saying.
My dick
Balls.
does that to you.
Yeah.
Just gets in the way.
I really forgot what I was saying.
About sword fighting.
Oh, if someone's a good...
Back to dicks.
If someone's a really good sword fighter... Yeah.
Someone's a really good sword fighter
Then
in the shower.
it's probably gonna come through in their fighting and stuff. But for the most part, it's a lot of games do what's called lightest touch. So if my blade accidentally taps you, it counts as a hit. So
Okay.
so in
At
that
least one or something.
yeah, so in that scenario, you run into a lot of crab fighters. Crab fighters are people who use two like longer swords, and they pretty much just like tap tap tap, and it's like in an actual fight, like. What are you doing? Like, that's not going to do anything. But in a LARP, like, that guy's so deadly because he's
just going tap tap
he's
tap
able to,
tap
like,
tap.
yeah.
But that's like metagaming.
Yeah.
That's like metagaming, though.
It's a little like metagaming. I've noticed for the most part that very good LARP fight. I don't want to say that. You can be a good LARP fighter and a good, like, actually like athletic fighter, as well.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, people that I see that like go hard and like fight, like I don't want to get fucked up by them outside of game kind of thing. They tend to shy away from fighting the people who are just there to meta. Usually they'll fight each other because it's more entertaining for them, and they'll spend their time role playing with those people, and vice versa. Because a lot of times players that are exceptionally good at lightest touch don't like the more intense kind of physical role play that other players want to do. Players are pretty respectful towards each other, though, in that regard.
So you're saying like the dudes that are, so that would you say that's the definition of like someone who's good at LARP fighting and someone who's actually good at fighting? Like a good LARP fighter is going to do that lightest touch thing, where a good fighter is those guys are going to band together and they're going to fight each other.
For the most part, there definitely will be some cross combat happening.
Mm-hmm.
Most games shy away from player versus player combat.
Okay.
My game does not. My game is very player versus player. Everyone dies at Blessing. That's like, you're probably going to die when you go there. That's...
So is it like like two armies meet on the field and clash? Is it like the Battle of the Bastards?
There are some really good battles. The thing is for the most part, you need a really good amount of cast to counterbalance the amount of players you have.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, the LARP I'm going to tomorrow, they've been around for a while, and they have, like, 130 players each game.
Oh, wow.
And they have a decent amount of cast, like 60 or so, 70 cast. So when they do what's called an all hands on deck, which means all the cast members go out for like a big fight. There's some huge battles that go on, and those are awesome because there's like skeletons everywhere and zombies, and like a lich is just like rezzing them and stuff, and players are like, oh, we're never gonna make it. They always make it. Once in a while they'll get walloped, but most of the time players are they're a lot stronger than the cast.
Than the NPCs.
Oh, okay.
Spoilers.
Kind of like a real like RPG game.
But they gotta
Yeah.
earn it. That's the
Yeah.
thing. They gotta earn it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think I would probably rather fight the dudes. I think the what do you call it? Lightest touch.
Yeah.
Those guys would annoy me.
You should come to Blessing.
Those guys would annoy me. Like, I'm not saying I would be good at fighting.
Mhm.
I'm just saying, like, I would rather fight the dudes that are really fighting than the I don't know.
So I don't like using long swords and doing like the classical fighting at LARPs. I usually use knives because I like to like murder people. That's the
Mhm.
thing. People are like, "Oh, I'll fight you." I'm like, "I'm not a fighter," and then I'll murder them because murder is different.
sneak up behind you and
Yeah.
kill you later.
But
You now, so you're not surprised.
so I'll use like shorter weapons like this and stuff.
So could you explain? You made this yourself, right?
Yes.
Tell us about this.
All right. This is a fiberglass core. It's a parking rod core.
Okay. I don't
with
know what that is. But go on.
like those orange things you get them at Home Depot. You just stick them in the ground. Like, don't dig here.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yep.
3 layers of blue camp mat foam that you can get at Walmart. That's what these are.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, this core is a drumstick.
Oh.
Yep. This is a drumstick with couch foam right here. And
Made
it-
into a.
made into a parasitic heart for one of my characters at Blessing. I played Pendleton Wool.
Yep.
He's the Horseman of Plague. And
Horseman of Plague. So
yeah.
what happens when you kill somebody with this thing? You steal his soul or something?
No. He's not about
Yeah.
stealing souls. He's not even about winning fights. He's about like, you slash me, I start bleeding. I'm
Yeah.
gonna put some blood on this blade. I'm gonna hit you with a plague, and I'm just gonna leave because now you're gonna
Oh.
infect everyone around you.
Wait, can I see that for a second?
Yeah,
I just want to.
absolutely.
There's the heart. Which way am I going? This way. There's the heart.
Yeah.
Which is kind of. Is this a human heart or?
It's a parasite. I don't want to give away too much information.
Alright.
This handguard here is supposed to be a motorcycle brake.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's sweet.
The Blessing is a post-apocalyptic game, and one of the factions, the Road Kings,
Yep.
they're all about like
like a road warrior kind of.
yeah, muscle cars and like motorcycles and stuff, and they work it into there's kind of like religions based about it in the world. But Pendleton's a nasty boy. He gets people real sick.
Awesome. Do you mind if we get into some of the other weapons, Nick? You want to do some?
That's
more
fine,
questions?
but if you have any like actual pictures of stuff like this,
Mhm.
or even in costumes or anything, you can just give it to us
Yeah.
after. Like when you're talking about the wolf thing, if you have that, I can
Yeah.
just like throw it up like
Mhm.
after during the editing and
Yeah.
stuff like
I
that.
have artwork for Blessing that I can send you. and stuff.
Okay.
Cool.
Now we can throw that up, and the people that are watching on YouTube or whatever can actually see what's going on.
Mhm.
But yeah, if you want to go over the other weapons.
So
stay
I
on that
brought some
topic.
stuff. In my house, we have a weapons bin for the kids. It's filled with
for
lightsabers. Huh?
It's for him.
Yeah, that's total bullshit. It's for me. So I brought some of them, and I was thinking you could tell me why some of these weapons would or wouldn't be good for LARPing.
All right.
So let's start with this kind of pirate-y type.
Saber.
Yeah. What are these called? Scimitar? No.
Saber.
Yeah, it's
Saber.
a cutlass.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's a
So this is
I think it's
all.
cutlass is a saber.
Yeah.
This is all plastic blade.
Yeah, that would
A little
fail
flimsy.
safety inspection immediately.
This would not pass an inspection.
It would not.
A second. So
What you could say
you
is
could poke somebody's eye out with
you-
this thing.
very
yeah.
easily, and also getting hit
You'll
with
poke
this.
your eye out, kid.
Getting hit with that's gonna suck.
Yeah, totally.
Even with lightest touch.
So would you allow them to have something like this as like just a prop
Yes,
to wear?
they
that
could
would
have
be-
it as costuming. It might make players uncomfortable to see that and be like, "Is this guy gonna hit me with something plastic?"
Right, right.
But unless the person's drawing it, the moment they draw it, that's a problem.
They're out.
Yeah. Well, they're not out. It's just like, stop drawing that plastic weapon.
Or we'll beat you with our foamy swords.
Yes. But you could totally have that as a physical prop.
I also have. These are my
Surprise.
favorites.
You can lift both of those.
Yeah,
He's worthy.
me, Mr. Rogers, and Thor. So,
Okay. That's plastic.
That's plastic. This would be a no-go.
That's a no-go. It, again,
This would probably break, too.
it would break. It would definitely break.
I've hit my kids with it. No, I'm just kidding. They're fine.
That's my blood, I swear.
Same thing.
Is that one foam? Or is that plastic?
No, this is
that's
a
definitely-
harder plastic.
Yeah.
This is a harder plastic.
Oh, yeah. Gosh. Yeah, these would...
Definitely not.
No.
But they look cool as fuck.
It does look really cool.
So, let me get this out of the camera. How about this guy right here? This is like a centurion kind of Roman-ish sword. It's
Yeah.
got some rubbery, I don't know what you'd call that. You're the expert.
It definitely does feel foam instead of plastic, but it still is quite a bit harder than...
It seems a bit dense. Like,
Yeah.
the density is still too much.
Also, the tip of your weapon can't be this rigid. It needs to be a bit, like, softer. If you're planning on, like, thrusting with it.
Okay. So would this pass an inspection? This would not get through?
No.
So none of the weapons that I beat my kids with
Nope.
will pass a LARP.
No.
So my kids are tougher than all the kids
Yeah,
at your LARP.
They have
Just
really
saying.
high con.
Now they turn off the casket, John.
All right. What do you got there?
I've got a repainted Nerf blaster. Have you guys used the Rival series?
I haven't. I've been to Hasbro, like
It's not
HasCon.
It's not loaded.
This is gun safety, guys.
Yeah.
He looked right down the barrel.
Yeah. What's this do?
That
Sweet.
so the Nerf Rival series are awesome, and I'm not here to pitch Nerf. But
They're a sponsor, so that's good.
oh, excellent. Nerf or nothing. But we get these. If you can repaint your blaster, it doesn't have to be like anything fancy. It can be like the crappiest Nerf you find. The only thing that we request is that you repaint it so that it's immersive. Sand it down, coat of black, coat of silver, and then dirty it up, and you're good to go.
Nice.
Our game's post-apoc, so we have guns and all sorts of different weapons.
So you have guns and magic in this thing, so it's kind of
no magic, but mutation. So pretty much magic. You can if you can sci-fi your way to explaining it, you can do it.
That's kind of my rule in my Star Wars RPG game. Like, if you want something, basically, if you can convince me with a logical explanation of why you have it, then I'll give it to you.
Yeah.
Depending upon how good your explanation is, will depend upon how much you're going to pay for it.
So we have a mechanic like that in our game where if you can be a robot, a human, or a mutant. If you're a mutant, you can pretty much get to whatever X-Men power you'd like to achieve, or whatever kind of like superhero power you want to achieve. It's just going to take time. You're going to have to research in game how to unlock your genes to be able to do those things and stuff. But if you want to,
It's funny you say unlock your genes because I have a superpower. My dick is indestructible.
yeah.
So.
So you could use that in game, and like no matter how many times you're hitting
Only
the
when
dick.
it's soft, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a safety.
Soft hard, it doesn't matter.
No.
It's indestructible.
All
My balls aren't though. Don't tell anybody.
right.
It's my one weakness.
Wait, weak point.
It's your glass cannon.
What?
It's your
I
glass
am a
cannon.
glass cannon. Yes. Actually, I've always wanted to like write a story about like this private detective who had an indestructible penis and went around solving crimes, and I just couldn't figure out how to like get that, like write that into the story, like how that would be relevant, or the fact that it wasn't relevant would be a good thing too. Oh, and he had like he could smell really well too. He was a detective that had a super sniffer.
Yeah.
He could smell like a dog and an indestructible penis. I'm telling you, I got something there.
It's something, all right.
But anyway, back to LARPing.
Yeah. Detective Dick Sniffer. Well,
I don't like Dick Sniffer.
No.
Nah, I'm not going with that. Indestructible penis. I don't know.
Actually, I do got a question about regarding the guns.
Yes.
So
George will
now,
save us.
now I like to cosplay, so at anime conventions.
Yeah.
And one rule at the anime conventions is that if you're going to bring like a gun as your prop, you have to make sure you have that orange tip on.
Yeah.
Is that something that's also like a rule? And
Yeah, we do enforce that at Blessing.
Alright.
So it's not completely orange, but it's
but you can see the orange at that
definitely.
tip.
easy enough to say this is a toy.
Right.
Like
there has to be like key identifiers, like yes, this is a prop or
yeah.
Okay.
And most folks will be like, pretty meticulous about their painting. Another reason why so I don't take mine apart. One, I don't want to risk putting them back together and breaking them. There's folks that do awesome stuff when they take it apart.
Mm-hmm.
I am not that patient. So I left this kind of like unpainted as well. So orange tip and also the white underneath with the loading mechanism. So it's pretty straightforward.
Cool. Plus, if you paint that, it might interfere with the slide action.
If you take it apart, sand it, and like take your time with it, it shouldn't be an issue.
Because you're building a layer on top, so you got to even out that layer.
I get it. I get it. Not as often as I'd like to, but I get it. Anyway, back to LARPing.
Yeah. Back to LARPing.
So we would need orange tips.
Okay.
Yeah. Some kind of identifier that is a toy.
Makes sense.
All right. Do you have any more questions, Nick?
No, just that one.
Just that one. All right, so that's...
No, that was great. Thanks for watching. No, so for someone that doesn't know anything about it, what would be a good way to like start out or research into it or anything like that?
I would say YouTube's an awesome place to figure out everything. I would look up good LARP examples as well as bad LARP examples. You will run into both. The best LARP is still going to have that one really lame person, but the worst LARP is also going to still have that one really awesome player or cast member or something. So I would say try either like improv with your friends first or tabletop gaming with your friends first, some kind of something to get past that first barrier of like, oh, this is too nerdy, this is too lame.
Right.
And like, don't take it seriously. A lot of people put a lot of time and get very invested in their characters, which is awesome, but don't take it too seriously because it's a game. So I'd say a good way to get into it is to cast. Most LARPs, if you go and NPC for the weekend, it's free. You get to play as a whole bunch of different things, so you get to like see what it's like to be a magic caster, you get to see what it's like to be a fighter and stuff, and you get to experience all those things. It's free, you get to hang out with everyone there, and because you're on the cast side of things, you'll usually get taught the ins and outs and stuff. That's how I first got into it.
Sounds pretty good.
What do you do? So, are you always a cast member? Do you ever like just go play?
I played at Legends for 2 games. My character at that game is completely bonkers. He no longer... I can't say stuff because players will learn stuff. But I was player for a while, and then I was secret cast. Players didn't know I was cast, but I was kind of like, I'd pop up and be like, what's going on here? And then I'd disappear, and I'd bring players to their quests, and they wouldn't know that I'm walking them into traps and stuff. And I play a very like trickstery character. And then I ended up going full cast there. I don't dislike playing. I don't care too much about if my characters do cool stuff. I like making sure that my friends are doing awesome stuff. So I'll try to set up cool stories or get them into traps or just make interesting stuff happen.
So it's a different kind of satisfaction. Like,
yeah,
your contribution is your reward. Like, that's how you really...
So it's pretty much like GMing or DMing in the tabletop world.
Yeah, and
I was just thinking that exact same thing. Yeah.
I actually prefer playing in a tabletop game. But when it comes to at like LARPs, I like the behind the scenes things. I like making sure that players are entertained and having fun, but also I like griefing them so that way they get like pissed off and stuff.
Right.
Not too pissed off, but
I just
you see some motion at least.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just...
I just read this meme or something that said if you think you're going to be good at like basically entertaining your friends, then you've already acquired 80% of what you need to be a good GM. Or a good, you know what I mean? Like, because that's exactly how I feel when I'm GMing. Like, yeah, I want to tell my story, but at the same time, if they're not having fun, then it's completely fucking useless to me. Because all I want to do is make sure that they're having a good time. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. It just reminded me of that meme. But so, and I get what you're saying. Like, you like the aspect of making sure everybody else is having a good time. I guess that's the correlation I'm trying to make.
So one of the things that I'm doing, actually starting a business this year. We're doing it. This summer we're launching basically episodic LARP. So instead of going for a whole weekend, because 3 days is a long time, basically you'd show up and it would be like doing a dungeon crawl with your friends. So you and your adventuring party can show up to. I'm partnering with Amp Academy in Fall River. It's a big parkour gym. There's like obstacles all over the place and stuff. And
Right. That's right off of like Plymouth Ave, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I
Right
know
at
where
the
that
corner
is.
next to McDonald's.
Yep.
Right behind McDonald's.
I mean,
Yep.
I don't parkour, but
Oh, yeah.
I know where.
Really?
It is.
You don't parkour?
I know, right? So I should.
That's the first thing I thought of. Like, that motherfucker does parkour.
I get that a lot.
And, like, he's the kind of guy that yells it, like, parkour! As
Yeah.
he's, like,
Oh,
bouncing
of
off the
course.
wall and shit.
It doesn't
Rule
count
number
unless
one.
you yell it.
Exactly.
Parkour!
Exactly.
But starting in the summer, we're going to be doing these episodic LARPs on the weekend. It's going to be called LARP After Dark. And my goal with this is to condense a 3-day long experience into a 2 to 4 hour long dungeon crawl, where you and your friends who have never LARPed before can pop in, see if you like it, and if you don't like it, cool, you don't have to do it again.
And it's going to be in that parkour gym.
Yes.
Which is fucking badass
Yeah.
if you think about it.
It's awesome.
Well, I'm sure you've
Huge
thought
space.
about it.
Yeah.
Think about it. Huh? I got a great idea.
But it's going to be a blast. But not only is it there for noobs to get into it, but I also want to give like veteran LARPers, like between games you get that itch. Like, it's a craving.
Mhm.
Like I gotta LARP, and I want to give folks the opportunity to like drop in, explore the world for a bit.
I like that idea. I really do.
Hmm.
Like going there and just like exactly what you just said. It's more like a D&D thing. You go there, you're there for 4 or 5 hours, 3 or 4 hours. You do your like little RPG. Well, not RPG, but and then you leave.
Yeah, and in that way, so I've been working on this for a while. This like model, and we piloted it for the first time for my best friend just got married in October. So the day before was his bachelor party. The day before his wedding, we basically threw him in a dungeon crawl. We turned the back of a store into a maze with different sections and stuff like that.
Oh, that's badass.
It was pretty much like Dark Souls. So healing potions were Fireball whiskey, and mana potions were Sambuca.
Like in real life.
Yeah, just like real life.
Just like real life.
And so what we did was he like walked in, he got through the dungeon, and when he got to the end, we had turned a portion of the place into a pub, and all his friends were waiting for him there and stuff. So each time he went out into the dungeon to do another thing, like bring drinks back for us, go get food, go do whatever, we would have some of the guests at the party go out and be NPCs, and he would choose his adventuring party. So like,
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah, and it was awesome.
That is awesome.
And it was a really fun experience. Booze helps. It
hell
it got
yeah.
people like loosened up and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
You should have made whiskey like giant strength or something. Because every time I drink whiskey, I'm like, makes me strong, gives me power.
But that was a really fun time. And none of the people that had gone, aside from my girlfriend and I, and you remember Nick? Yeah, you remember Nick.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, right
Yeah. We were basically like setting up and directing and making sure everything ran smoothly and stuff, and it was a blast. It was a fun time.
Oh, speaking of Nick, not you, Nick. The Nick he's talking about. You're not Nick. You're Moose.
I am.
I don't know who this other Nick is.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Nick he's talking about. You know Tenka and Zan from the RPG from the Star Wars game that we play. He's the Zabrak. And
He totally said he was a Zabrak, and I was just like, oh, that's
and-
cool.
and
then I
his-
get the connection whatsoever.
his friend Nick is Tenka.
Okay.
So that's, I mean, that was like, what, 6, 7 years ago that you played those Star Wars characters?
Oh gosh, maybe even more.
In the car ride up, I was telling him, so that was a game that, it was Zach, Nick, another friend of ours, Jay ran the game, and there was a few other people. Jay, I don't even think he ran it for a year, but we got into that. Like, we played every month. So when Jay stopped, maybe like a year or two later, I started up again. And I systematically killed every PC from Jay's game except his character and Nick's. I killed my character. I killed, you don't know Nate. I killed Nate's character, Ray's character. Everybody. I killed every PC that was playing in that game except You and Nick.
Did you try to kill us, or were you just like, I don't want to kill him?
I don't know. There was it never even entered my mind.
Yeah.
To what? As a matter of fact, in the first game, you remember Keith? Keith Breeze.
Oh yeah.
Right. So in the first game, or in the first couple of games, I killed his character. His character from Jay's game was his Jedi Master in this game, or something like that.
Oh, you killed him.
Oh no, he was a droid. I'm sorry, but I brought his character back. He
That's
was
close.
he was Nate's Jedi Master. That's what it was. So I brought his character back, and I killed him within the first 2 episodes.
Yeah.
And after the game, he was like, "I can't believe you killed my character. You would never kill your character." And as soon as he said it, I was like, "That's an awesome idea. And I know exactly how I'm going to kill my character, and it's going to be awesome." And I did, and it was.
Yeah. Nice.
But yeah, it never even entered my mind to kill those 2 characters because I just.
They were pretty unassuming.
Yeah, like I don't know, like. It's not that I wouldn't, it just never entered my mind, or I would have. For some reason, I just kept them alive.
Next game, they die.
We'll see what happens. You'll have to tune in. It's all gonna happen on our
Cold War
RPG
campaign.
cast if it happens. Yeah, so I'm running that Star Wars game. We just rebooted with new characters, but they all live in the
Same universe.
same universe.
That's
So
cool.
it's like a few years later, maybe like 5 years later from. They played those other characters for 5 years. Nick did, another friend of ours, Dutch, Mark and Charlie, and they finally retired those characters. One of them actually became Mandalore, and now we just rebooted with these new characters. And I told everybody that they're not allowed to talk to each other because these guys have been playing together for 5 years. So like usually when you start a thing, it's like there's some new people, everybody gets together. Oh, tell us about your character. I was like, you can't do any of that. You can't tell anybody about any of your characters. And so it's very clandestine, and nobody really knows the whole story of what's going on. But everybody has a little piece of what's going on. And Nick's game, who he just started, it's been a year now, right? A little over a year.
Yeah.
So his game is actually in the same universe, and it runs parallel. So things that are happening in his game
affects what's happening in yours.
and vice versa. Yeah, and
Hey.
and both games are on our YouTube channel.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I'm running a crony capitalist office setting game called Avelios Corp.
What the fuck?
Yeah. So I
Go
have
on.
I have lore it's like fantasy lore, but like the universe has destroyed and like been rebuilt so many times, and everything's just chaotic and crazy. And I have a Thursday group we play like once or twice a month, and then I have a Sunday group that we play once or twice a month, and they're competing companies.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and they like one boss is a golem. He was built by a rabbi, and the other boss is a ghost.
Obviously.
The other boss, yeah, the other boss is a ghost, and the ghost sells mixtapes, and the golem sells magic erasers.
This sounds amazing.
It's ridiculous. I don't even know what's going to happen most of the time. I choose the music playlist, and then I random roll everything. So like, you might have to deliver letters. You might have to slay a dragon. Like it's bonkers.
It's like 2 extremes.
Yeah.
Like play mailman or play Dragon Slayer.
Yeah, you don't want to start as an intern. You can choose to start
Obviously.
as like the CEO, and that's awesome.
Okay.
But there's a high chance you'll die of boredom. You'll like get too bored and like go on like.
So you want middle management. You want to have a little bit of
Yeah.
fun.
You want to work in like IT
All right, that makes sense.
because robots are a problem, and robots only speak Spanish in my game. So yeah,
And binary, of course.
yeah, they speak binary and Spanish. There's an entire section of space that builds all the robots in the universe, and they speak Spanish and send them out to
So
them.
I'm Spanish. If I were to play,
Yeah.
would I already have like the leg up on
Oh
everybody?
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic.
You could actually speak Spanish and fuck up the GM.
Yeah.
Because you don't, right?
I speak Portuguese and I lie about Spanish, so
I know Portuguese swears. I can swear at you in Portuguese.
there you go.
Then he would know. But I could swear at him in Spanish, and he wouldn't know.
I don't know, like, there's a lot of similarities.
Yeah, similar.
We got a lot more zh sounds, but it's pretty, it's a lot of the same. Like,
Yeah.
do you know how to say underwear in Spanish?
Calzoncillo.
It's quackish for us.
No.
quackish, which is also the sound Portuguese ducks make. True story.
You say quackish?
Where did this conversation go?
But
You had to
right.
say it yourself before you got
Yeah.
it. You're like, quackish? Oh, shit!
So back to LARPing.
Only
Yeah.
Portuguese are going to get that joke.
Yep.
Actually, your story did bring up 2 questions, actually. I always thought LARPing was done outside. So the fact that you had an indoor thing and your ideas for an indoor setting.
That's all him. That's your
Like-
idea, right?
There are so many LARPs in the world, and there's so many genres. And there's LARPs that happen in hotels. There's LARPs that happen.
So it's just a stereotype that it just takes place outside of
It's
the woods.
easiest to set it outside in the world because it's the forest. There's already
Right.
there's
It's natural staging.
There's cover, yeah, exactly, and that couples really well with fantasy. Fantasy is probably the most popular type
Right.
of LARP. But we have the space that we use is awesome. It's in Wales, Massachusetts. It's like an hour and a half west of where we are,
Okay.
and it's amazing. There's 40. It's like 10 to 14 cabins on site. Almost all of them have electricity and heat, and it's made for LARPing.
Nice.
It was funded on an Indiegogo in like 2003 or something.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and there's like a tavern. When you go in, it looks like freaking Red Dead Redemption. Like there's like the stairs going up and stuff.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it's awesome. We got really lucky.
I got a quick question.
Yeah.
LARPs that happen in hotels, isn't that just called porn?
I suppose sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Go
only
on.
porn if they're filming it. Otherwise, it's just,
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. My bad.
I'm sure there's.
How many hit points does thrusting take away?
If you're proficient, I guess. I guess.
If you go full like thrusting, like each step,
upon completion,
Yeah.
the target is dead.
Okay.
So, but
Sweet.
you have to finish. Otherwise, it doesn't count.
Okay.
All right.
It's
Yeah,
like
role
Chinese
play.
food.
Yeah.
No pulling out.
No. Nope.
It's like Chinese food. Nobody's done till everybody gets their cookie.
Yeah. So you
Yeah.
bring cookies.
Bring cookies.
I always bring.
I stole that from a movie. I think Alec Baldwin said it. Anyway.
What, in like 30 Rock?
No, not in 30 Rock. It's from some movie.
Mm.
Some like Ben Affleck kind of one of those movies that happened in like Boston or some shit. But he's in it.
Oh, Batman.
Alec Baldwin.
Batman v Superman.
No. That didn't happen in Boston, did it?
No. Isn't Gotham based on Boston?
I thought it was based on Chicago.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I don't know. Not
That
too
makes
sure.
more sense.
Yeah.
It's a city for sure.
Yeah.
And then what's New York would be Metropolis.
Metropolis, yeah.
But way nicer than New York.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my second question, alcohol. Is that a problem in LARPing?
It's not a problem. It's not allowed.
Okay.
I'm sure there are games that allow it, but for insurance and safety and liability reasons,
It's not permitted.
yeah,
Okay.
just don't.
What about sorry.
No, go ahead.
What about the camping ones? Like after the LARPing's done and everybody's just chilling out afterwards, and you're allowed to drink and whatnot.
Like after the event is complete.
Like, it's the first day.
Mhm.
Everybody beat the shit out of each other all day, or whatever happens. You're done for the day, and everybody's just chilling out in their tents and whatnot.
Okay. Technically, you're still in a state forest, so you shouldn't be drinking. So it's technically still illegal.
Okay.
I would say if you're a player, if you're cast, just don't at all. If you're a player,
Makes sense.
it's respectful to not. You know what
All
I
right.
mean?
Mhm. And then what's the common age group? Like is it 18 plus?
Blessing is 18 plus. I don't want kids in my LARP.
Okay.
They're the worst.
Yeah. Legends is 18 plus, I believe. Mythical Journeys, I think, is 18 plus, but if your parents signed, you can go if you're 16 or something. I don't really know.
Okay.
It varies. There's some that are all ages.
Okay.
But for the most part, I think you'll have more fun at an adults-only event. You can
Yeah.
swear and not worry about it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's a good stress reliever too. Like,
Yeah.
being an adult, responsibilities, just fucking sucks.
Yep.
So just to get away from it all,
Mhm.
to just go like kick some ass in a LARP.
Yeah.
I could see that being pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And just, thankful that it's 18 plus.
Yeah, do a few quests
Yeah.
and
Try to fight a wolf.
yeah,
You know?
yeah, absolutely.
Kids are the worst.
Put it on repeat. Or is there like a general website or forum or something that most LARPers go to? That, if I wanted to start, would I go there and be like, oh, blah, 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 I'm thinking about this area or whatever?
New England has really good LARP scene. There's almost too many LARPs in New England. But that said, the LARP community is awesome because there's so many. So there's a very varied palette, and you can meet 3 players at a game. They probably all attend like 3 different types of games somewhere else. LARP Haven is a good Facebook forum. New England LARPers is a good one. That's where I go and talk to folks. If you want to go on the Blessing group page,
Hint,
hint, our players are the best players in the fucking world. They make the coolest armor. They make the coolest videos, and we have the best community ever. Our players are super cool, and I'm not just saying that because it's ours. They're fucking awesome. They're a big reason why the game actually happened. We hit some snags when we were trying to make it happen, and
You have an event coming up, right?
yes, we have
Tell us about that.
we have our second event coming up May 11th weekend.
May 11th.
Yes.
Okay.
And if you guys were to go,
hint.
if you guys were to go, you could build your characters. There's 7 factions to choose from. Each faction has its own kind of niche. There's the Keepers of Eden, which are very science and medical science. They're all about mutating themselves and augmenting themselves. There's the Crash Battalion, which are all about getting the best weapons, the best technology. There's the Road Kings, which are pretty much 4 separate raider gangs. Each gang is based on one of the horses of the apocalypse, or one of the horsemen of the apocalypse.
Sounds nice.
Yeah.
It's a great time.
But if you guys were to go, you'd make your characters beforehand. You'd show up. We'd give you your character sheets. We'd let you know where you're bunking and stuff. And as soon as game on happens, for the next 72 hours, our game doesn't have game off. Most games at 2 a.m. it's game off. Our game, you can get killed anytime. So if you...
So
That's nuts.
3 in the morning.
Yeah.
Someone can sneak
I'm ready
in
to
your
go to
tent.
bed.
Yep.
And just shank.
Yep.
Done.
Unless you have something denoting you as out of game. So
okay.
if you go to bed and you have a glow stick hanging above you, it means you're out of game.
Okay.
Or if you go to a designated out of game building, there's a building that is out of game after 2 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
But aside from that, if you're out and about at night, game is on.
And this is how
pretty
many
sweet.
days is
That
this
is
event?
pretty sweet.
This is 2 nights and
3 days.
2 nights, 2 days. So game on is at Friday night at 10 p.m. is game on. Check-in is at 8 p.m.
Okay, yeah.
Usually in bed by then.
Yeah. And it goes until Sunday at noon.
Okay.
Stay up the whole time.
I do. I think I clocked 3 hours of sleep last weekend. Not last weekend, but our first event. Just being up and it's like GMing, but there's the physical interaction and the physical part that you have to do on the fly. So players did stuff Friday night, and we made a newspaper for Saturday morning to go out into the world and stuff. So
That's cool.
at 3 to 5 in the morning, me and my friend Alex and Rob were taking pictures of. I was wearing this fucked up ET mask. It's a green ET mask.
That's Yoda.
Yeah, essentially. But we have a race of beings in our game called Peepers, and they're just
Called what?
peepers.
Peepers.
They're just pleasant little aliens. They just hang
They're
out.
just peeping.
Yeah, they just peep. That's literally all they do.
It's like you on the network page.
Yeah, on the Facebook
it's
conversation. Yeah, that's all I do. Yeah.
So we took a really grainy picture of a peeper poking his head around a staircase,
Which is what you.
and we put it in the newspaper. There was a peeper sighting, and players are seeing that in the morning. They're like, "What the fuck are peepers?" And then later on that day, there's peepers peeping around in the forest. They ended up, the most peaceful faction in our game ended up murdering the peeper. they were like, "We don't know what he is. He's an alien."
Fucking
So
pervert.
So they killed him. That'll show him. They actually kept his dead body around for an hour after they killed him. Normally,
God, that's hardcore.
Normally, you just take the body and you say, "I toss you into the forest." And
Was this a real person?
Yeah, it's a real person playing the peeper.
Oh, and they made the person be dead for hours?
Drag him around for an hour.
So much for the most peaceful gang.
Yeah, but they were just like they wanted to learn more about it and stuff. But there was like little
They cut him open.
yeah, there was little blurbs about like some players had developed parasites from like drinking water in the game that was tainted.
Mm-hmm.
So we like made a little blurb about that. Like, are you feeling irritable? Do you have diarrhea? You should go see the doctor. Blah blah blah. Little things here or there. Snippets about possible quest lines, so players could like read the newspaper and be like, "Oh, there's rumors of an item that way. I'm gonna
That's
go."
cool.
And
And the quests in the newspaper. And
yeah,
whatnot. Are there like in a video game? Are there people, like cast members that will give somebody a quest to do? And
absolutely.
Whatnot? Okay.
It's not some LARPs. It's very straightforward to the point of like there's actual like pieces of paper that'll be like, do this quest, get this much experience. Almost all of our NPCs have a reason to be out there. A lot of games they'll be like, go out as bandits, come back. Go out as more bandits, come back. Go out as rats, come back. Our game, I'd rather people be out as a specific role and have a purpose. So like either a logistical function, like our scrap robots. I have like a box robot costume. I go out and I collect ammo up off the ground and stuff to redistribute ammo into the world.
Oh, awesome.
Or you'll be, whatever you're out as, you should have a purpose to either entertain specifically, teach the players a certain skill in game or a mechanic in the game, or serve a logistical function. Like, all these players are dead and their bodies are rotting. What are we going to do? Send them to the medic. Send them to...
Set them on fire.
Yeah, you could set them on fire. If...
Ravenous just showed up. That's an inside joke that you don't get.
Oh.
Until you watch the YouTube hint.
All right. I'll do it. I can put all your videos through the Blessing page, actually, if you guys want.
So your event is May 11th, you said?
Yes.
Can people still get tickets for that?
Yes, they can.
How do they get tickets?
If you go to blessinglarp.com, there's a tab with, you can build your character there. You'll have to register on the site, but build your character there. You can buy tickets there. I believe there's a link to our store. We have like shirts and stuff. All of the profits go right back into the game. We don't keep any of it. It just goes into making better costumes, better weapons, better experience for...
Can people bring their own costumes?
Yes, we encourage people to get as fancy and crazy as they want to. It's actually mandatory for some things. Like if you're playing a robot, you don't have to like go all out in like clunky box robot, but you should have some kind of like makeup or costume piece that's like, that guy's definitely at the very least a cyborg or something.
Yeah.
Or mutants, you have to have like
Some kind of disfiguration or
a
something?
mutation. It can be whatever you want. You can have any mutation you want, but there should be some kind of uncanniness to you.
Okay.
How do I make my indestructible penis uncanny? Aside from the fact that it's indestructible.
Did you ever watch...
He's got an answer, I can't wait.
You've watched Mad Max, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
So you know how they have like those cod pieces with like the... I would say go that route.
All right.
You could
all right.
probably mount a Nerf gun on there if you wanted to. And you could fire disease through it too.
Remember that movie from Dusk Till Dawn?
Yes.
Yeah.
Machete comes out and he's
Sex
got his
Machine.
little...
That guy's name is Sex Machine.
That's not his real name.
That's his character's name in that
Yeah.
movie.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, all right, yeah. It's been a long time. All right. So, if hypothetically,
Yes.
I'm not committing, but hypothetically, if one of us went to one of your LARPs,
Yes.
would we be able to film it and put it up on the?
Yeah, absolutely. I would, if you want to do that, we can do that, but I'll discuss it when we're not recording so that
Okay.
players don't get hip to the jive, essentially.
Okay,
No
all right,
spoilers.
cool.
Okay. Well, I figured more legal matters because I'm sure there's some people that
Oh.
no, like they
Yeah.
don't want any kind of like media release or anything like that.
So my friend Kaza, she recorded. She has a YouTube channel. She's super cool. Her and her boyfriend Casey filmed the event and their experience and stuff, and they kind of put together this like really surreal, like off-putting kind of like video. It's awesome. It's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But if they were filming and people didn't want to be filmed, they just give them a thumbs down. They always kind of give like a thumbs up, and if players are cool with it, they'll either
Okay, so there was a visual like
Yeah.
Okay, no, don't remove. Yeah. Okay.
But we could, story-wise, we could give you guys a reason to be out there filming and stuff.
Okay.
The lore of the game is the main continent of the world where the players are from. Everything got destroyed in, World War III or World War whatever. It's unclear if it's Earth or not. Who knows? Everything got destroyed. And rumors of this place called the Blessing, a continent like thousands of miles that away across the ocean, beyond the radiation, is like a land of abundance. It's like a biblical land of like.
It's like Eden.
Yeah, essentially.
All right.
And players found out about it, and now they're exploring there. So each weekend is an expedition into the Blessing. So you're there to research and learn about monsters and find resources to bring back home and stuff. And then at the end of your expedition, you're sent back home. And that's where those dungeon crawls I was talking about, that's where that takes place. So that's you exploring your homeland. And then on the weekends, that's you benefiting from all the exploration you've been doing to go out there for the weekend and stuff. Now, the weekend, the dungeon crawls aren't mandatory. Players don't get experience points from that. They get lore, they learn lore, they get to have fun, they get to role play, and they get that side of things. The weekend is where you get your actual experience points.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
All right.
So what's the worst person you ever had to deal with as far as like?
You don't have to say any names. But
Oh,
you
no,
know,
I wouldn't say any names.
being a
You can
douche
tell
or
us a
whatever.
story.
Him or her?
Let's see. If I'm too descript, everyone I know at these games will know. So I'm gonna avoid being too descript. I'm just gonna lightly touch on the subjects. There's players that get way too angry and take it way too seriously, and they don't make threats of physical violence, but they get bro-ish in the most nerdy way as possible. Like they get like. They front essentially.
Basement dementia.
And then
Sounds
another
like a clear case of dyslexia.
Oh. Another archetype that you don't want to run into is the deviant, the people that are too hands-on, essentially.
I mean, too touchy-feely?
Too touchy-feely. It's not common, and I don't want folks thinking like everyone's going to be a violent asshole and everyone's going to be a harasser. That's not the case most of the time. Most of the time people are awesome, but once in a while you got to lay down the law.
Don't touch me.
How do you usually do that? Is kick them out of the game, or?
So most games it'll just be like a between game thing. You email them or something like that. Blessing, we have NPCs called peacekeepers, and peacekeepers are like RoboCop. Like they go out with a mission, they talk to you about it, and usually that's all they need to do. They just talk to you about it. But they're like diesel as fuck, and they'll like wreck house if they have to.
Like in real life? They're diesel as fuck?
Yeah, they're all Vin Diesel.
Okay.
We have Vin Diesel. we get Vin Diesel clones, and we send them out.
All right.
They have a 3-day lifespan, so we just
perfect.
leave them in the forest, and then.
Yeah. They're cheaper that way.
Yeah.
It's like those blue creatures from Rick and Morty.
Meeseeks?
The Meeseeks.
Yeah, Mr. Meeseeks. Except Mr. Vin Diesel Seeks. I don't know. I got
Mr.
nothing.
V6. But for the most part, players are awesome, and all you have to do is talk to them and be like, "Hey, complaint," and they're usually pretty
Understanding?
responsive and
Okay.
they're pretty understanding. Once in a while, you'll run into a real dick, and then whatever.
And then you have to make sure they never leave the woods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did have someone leave on Saturday morning, second day of game. They weren't having a good time. They got pissed and they left. But their bad time was causing other people to have a bad time. So, count your losses. No big deal.
Right.
And they already paid, so.
Yeah. Yep. It'd be one thing if they, at Game On were like, oh, I hate this, I'm going to leave. But they'd already been playing and they were being unpleasant. So.
Yeah. I mean, like, if people aren't having fun, then why the fuck are you even there?
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. And that's pretty much the main thing is if somebody's being a jerk, just remind them that it's okay. It's just a game. Don't worry about it. A lot of players, they get worried that, like, they're going to perm. And, like, they put hundreds of dollars into playing over the course of years. With their costuming, it's probably into like the thousands.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't blame them, but it is still a game. To avoid that at Blessing, people die constantly. Like if you're not dying, you're not exploring because everything's dangerous and players kill each other. But it's no big deal. Science is so advanced that we can bring you back. Don't worry about it. Until it becomes a cool story point, like your main characters from the other Star Wars game carrying over and dying.
Yeah.
If a player's doing really cool stuff and they've been playing for a while and it makes sense story-wise or it's really like a good death, we might finally. But
those characters were non-player NPCs.
Yeah.
But when I killed them off,
Yeah,
weren't
that's
actual
true.
players.
Yeah. It's only our second game in May. I don't want to think about finaling anyone just yet.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to break.
No, you want to let this build.
Yeah.
You know?
So like if the game starts on Saturday morning, hypothetically, and I die, before lunch, there's a way for me to come back and.
Yep. So
Okay.
most games you'll go spirit, and you'll after 5 minutes you'll bleed out, you'll be dead. 5 minutes after that, you'll turn into a spirit, hand on head, weapon on head, and you walk to death. Our game doesn't have a spirit of death. It doesn't have that kind of mechanic. So in our game, if you kill me and I bleed out and die, I just lay dead for however long until somebody picks up my body and brings me to a medic, or if I'm a robot, brings me to a mechanic. Now,
so you gotta hope you got a friend that'll actually do that for you.
Yep, we have NPCs that go out called baggers, and they just collect dead bodies and
Nice.
and throw them at medics. And just like, here you go. But
Fix this.
yeah,
It's
but
broke.
If
Bring out your dead.
if you've been dead for a while,
Nice.
if you've been dead for a long time and nobody's moving you, you can stand up and just walk away. And
Okay.
we don't want anyone spending their weekend dead in the forest.
No, of course.
I hate it when that happens.
Where'd Billy go? I don't know. He's still dead somewhere.
Killed him about an hour ago. But at any moment, if you're uncomfortable, you can just go to the logistics building
Okay.
and be like, I'm not enjoying.
So there's a universal sign of like,
Yeah,
all right,
you're out of game.
I'm out of game. Yeah.
But for the most part, we want because there's different people that can bring you back to life. Those people have their own reasons. So my character, Dr. Pastel, is based on Bob Ross. So if you die, he's going to bring you back just because he wants you to have a fucking happy day. But there's other characters. There's a character named Smoke Shifter who is the horseman of death. And if he's bringing you back to life, it's for some fucked up reason.
Oh, and you have to do something for him?
Yeah,
Oh.
and that's a plot line. Like there's,
No
so
shit.
whoever's bringing you back has their reasons. If they're a good person, they'll probably patch you up to full health, send you out on your way with a lollipop. And if they're a bad dude, they're going to be like, I'm bringing you back because you're going to do this. And if you don't, I'm going to kill you. So,
Wow.
yeah.
It's intense.
It's a wicked world we live in.
I'm just trying to decide what group I like best.
We can go through all the factions if you want.
Could I start in one faction and then go to another one?
Yes, you would be a deserter, and that's awesome.
Because I don't want to say it on camera, but I've got some ideas.
Well, have you ever played Fallout?
No.
Yeah. See, same here.
Are there any groups that you are drawn to in that game?
Usually the Minutemen.
Minutemen.
Yeah.
So in Blessing, the Minutemen would be most closely represented by the Fellhounds, which are like they're the good guys, or at least they have the goodest of intentions.
I'm not laughing at that. Like Nick is totally paying attention to you, but on the video it looks like he's looking away from you and like, no, I'm not listening to anything.
That's
Because he's looking because of the way it's
Yeah.
set up. Totally looks like do the hand trick. Do the hand trick.
Oh, once you flip it, it's just gonna look normal.
Yeah. Right. That's right. I didn't realize I was looking at you, but on the screen.
What was I saying?
Good job, Tony.
You explaining the comparison of the Minutemen and
Oh
then,
yeah. So the Fellhounds are like they're more of like a
Observation,
military in the world, and they don't exist because they're trying to take power. They exist because if they didn't, everyone would be fucked. They protect in the homelands. They protect the main city called Wave City, which is right on the water. That's where like refugees go to, people who have deserted other factions, people that were slaves. They all go there because it's like the beacon of like safety. So felons would make sense. There's also the Cupco Scouts, also known as Cupcakes, and they're my
Those
favorite.
are like the Road Warrior type guys?
No. They're people who lived in bunkers, so they have resources. That's their superpower. They're like, I got that item you need. Like, I have snacks. I have healing items. I got ammo.
So I go there and just sit and pick out the whole day.
Yeah,
Just
you
hang
just,
out.
you just go there and hang out with the cupcakes.
Yeah,
Cupcakes.
you got Twinkie? Oh, that's sweet.
I'm biased, but cupcakes were the first faction I wrote, and they're my favorite. They're just like, they're like sweater vests and chill out and have a time, and then go out and murder somebody with a hockey stick.
So it's kind of like if you took Frasier and made him into a serial killer?
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
As if Frasier wasn't a serial killer. What do you think happened to everyone in Cheers?
Well, they came back in
Shit.
episodes of Frasier.
Those were
Sam came back.
Those were his haunting memories of.
It's fun. I've been watching Frasier over again.
Yeah.
Recently, so I don't know. That's probably why I popped into this episode.
Brought to you by Frasier.
Yeah.
Now on Blu-ray.
No, you what?
Now on Blu-ray. So those are just two factions. I already went over Crash Battalion, or I may not have. They're all about big armor, big weapons, tech. They hate mutants. Atom Order. They're all mutants. They're all very like
What are they called?
Atom Order.
Atom Order.
Yep.
Okay.
They're all very, not all of them, I suppose, but they're all mutated. If you live in their homeland of Glow Harbor, there's a sunken nuclear submarine that radiates the shit out of the water, and so just being there gradually, you're going to mutate over time.
And do they all have like physical deformities?
Yeah. Yep.
And none of them are just have a mutation that's on the inside, like like Storm from the X-Men.
Oh.
Like
I
she's
wish.
hot, but
Yeah,
also
that's her
has a bob.
superpower. Actually, Storm is one of my favorite X-Men. She's super strong. We should talk
Yeah,
about
she's a
that. at some
badass.
point. But one of our players, they didn't have an obvious mutation, but they had like a high turtleneck and like long sleeves, and when they pulled up their arms, they had these fucking 6 scales that they like painted on and stuff.
Oh.
So that's if you want to get around like wearing your your mutation all the time, you can costume it up. You know. What I mean?
Okay.
The more effort somebody puts in, the more they're going to be like rewarded and stuff. That said, we have somebody with a third eye growing out of their forehead. We have one girl. Her name is Euphoria.
Mm-hmm.
She's a mutant. She plays a mutant, and her costuming's sick. She's just like gangrenous and like mutate. She just looks like a mutant. She's awesome. But it varies.
All right.
I think I mentioned every faction. And then there's Vagabonds, which is like, I don't want to be in a faction, lone wolf kind of group.
That's pretty sweet.
Alrighty then.
I'll send you all the artwork. You can
Yeah, yeah.
throw it on the balls.
Yeah, that'd be good. Throw it all up.
Let's all throw up.
We could put it up while you're talking. Actually.
That's cool.
Yeah, right in front of your face the whole time so no one knows you here.
Little tiny picture just to cover your face.
That works.
Okay.
Sign me up.
Do you have any more questions, Nick?
No, I didn't ask everything, but I think we went over everything for the most part that I have.
All right.
So I don't know if you have anything else that we haven't talked about that you need to add. Anyone?
I can't really think of anything else.
What was the Star Wars thing we were going to talk about in the car?
Oh, I don't like the Jedi Council. I don't like Jedis. I
Can we,
don't.
can we talk about that for a minute? Do you mind?
I know this is confusing, but I don't like. I just don't like. I don't like their. Oh, because it's paladins.
Oh, paladins.
Paladins suck. Paladins are frauds. Sometimes you'll meet like a good paladin.
Fucking con men.
Like, yeah, they
Full
are.
of shit.
But like a paladin of like Caden Kalian. Are you guys familiar with Pathfinder?
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
Alright. Caden
Basically
Kalian's
D&D.
the god of like debauchery and like drinking and stuff. That paladin's gonna be awesome. But like
Hell yeah.
But like the paladins that are like, I am always just and right and I will do whatever I have to.
Like, I will do no wrong.
Yeah, and it's like you're gonna fucking do mostly wrong. Like you're on some kind of crusade.
Mm-hmm.
And the Jedi are the same way. Except they're like, instead of I will do no wrong, they're like, I will do nothing. and then everything gets fucked up.
Hmm. I think it was one of the last podcasts we did. Basically, they employed a slave army to fight their war for them.
Yeah, that's fucked.
And it was like, that's cool. Let's just not talk about it.
Yeah, they just ignored the fact that they bred slaves.
Yeah, they created slaves and
they had like that built-in, like something would go defunct with them, right? After a certain point.
well, yeah, there was apparently a biotech chip in their head that when Palpatine said Order 66, it automatically clicks and they just go, "Buh, I'm shooting Jedi." I mean, don't get me wrong, like it was all a plan by Palpatine, where he would, like the Rothschilds, fund both sides of the war, but at the same time, the Jedi didn't say shit about it. They were just like,
Jay-Z fan.
"What?"
Yeah, that's exactly what it
I
is.
don't like that, so he said I'm a Jay-Z fan.
Oh. I have no idea what's going on. A joke happened and I missed it.
Oh.
But I mean, the Jedi didn't fucking blink. They were like, "Oh yeah, we got this slave army now to fight our fucking war for us."
Yeah.
Now, what was the joke I missed?
Oh, you mentioned the Rothschilds, so I did an
Yeah,
Illuminati.
Illuminati sign, and then he said, "Yeah, he's a fan of Jay-Z."
I'm so oblivious. All right, yeah.
Did you watch the Clone Wars series? I love
did.
the Clone Wars
I may have
series.
seen one or all of them. I don't know.
Oh.
Maybe.
About 10 times. Yeah.
I love the Clone Wars series. It's like, it's probably of the Star Wars brackets. It's in as a collective series or film if it was its own thing. It's one of my favorites. I like how it got like really dark at the end and stuff. People were dying like way more in the Clone Wars series than in the movies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And this goes back a bit in our discussion earlier when you mentioned like if you can science explain it or science explain it, it works.
Mm-hmm.
That planet with the witches.
Oh, Dathomir.
Yep.
I loved that arc. I thought
Yeah.
that was super cool. That's where Savage.
Zabrax were too, right? On that
Yeah,
side.
yeah. Yep.
The,
Yeah, that's where Savage Opress
the Night Brothers
came to being.
And
Which Savage Opress and Darth Maul are
brothers.
Mother Townsend's children, her sons.
The witch lady.
Yeah,
Yeah, the main.
those are her sons.
Is Ventress is a Brack?
Ventress? No.
No.
Oh.
I'm not sure. She's
She's from that witch planet, right?
I forgot the name of her race, but she's not a Zabrak. The both Savage Opress and Darth Maul are Mother Townsend's sons, and Palpatine pretty much stole Maul right from her, like basically forced her to give him up.
That's why in Clone Wars, Dooku goes there to find an apprentice. And
Oh,
get
yeah.
Savage Opress.
Yeah. I like that arc. Space Witches.
What about the Rebels? Have you watched that?
I have not.
So much better.
It's awesome.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Actually, me and Bear are thinking about doing a podcast where we're going to go back and watch, because Bear hasn't
Yeah.
seen them all,
Mm.
and I've seen them all like 4 times. So we're thinking about doing a podcast where we go back and just he and I will rewatch them
Mhm.
and just do the podcast.
Well,
Yeah.
basically the
True.
problem. Well, we talked about this probably 10,000 times, but the problem with Clone Wars, it was all over the place. Like it was linear as far as the storyline
Yeah.
goes,
Yeah,
and Rogue Rebels is linear.
Yeah.
And Dave Filoni, the creator of it all, got to do, exactly what he wanted from start to finish and
Mhm.
end the story.
Oh,
Without
so you see the
George
completion
Lucas.
of it
yeah, that's good.
Looking
without
over
any
his-
outside
looking over his shoulder
influence.
Was George Lucas looking over the Clone Wars?
without Rebels.
Yeah.
When the Clone Wars ended, it was right after Lucas sold Lucasfilm
To Disney, yeah.
to Disney. So when he did Rebels, and we were just talking about this, I think you explained this to me last time. When he started Rebels, he was all on his own. He didn't have Lucas. It was all Disney. It was him and Disney. He didn't have Lucas over his shoulder. So Rebels is all Dave Filoni. I mean, I'm sure he fucking talked to George Lucas about, once in a while, but for the most part, Rebels is all Dave Filoni, and it's the most Star Wars there is.
Yeah. I'll have to watch it.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it just officially ended with 4 seasons. So
Oh yeah,
Not too many seasons. I'm gonna watch that shit tomorrow.
binge
half
that
hour,
shit.
so you just fucking fly through them with
Yeah.
no commercials or whatever.
I've been needing a new series actually. I just finished Curb Your Enthusiasm. Fucking love Larry David.
Oh man, I could never get through that.
No?
No, there was something about Larry David I don't like.
Well, that makes sense.
I don't know.
He's kind of the worst.
Yeah, pretty much.
But as far as Rebels go, that's fucking. It's one of the best Star Wars things I've seen. You know what I've been rewatching is Star Trek, The Next Generation.
Mm.
You know who Matt Myra is?
Yeah, I know.
From the Nerdist podcast and whatnot. So him and another guy, Andy Secunda, both of them are writers on the Goldberg, and they're doing exactly the same format that I was talking about with me and George doing Rebels.
Mm.
They're doing that with Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Oh, cool.
And I started watching it from the beginning and actually started watching some of the episodes.
Mm.
But when they go through the episode, it's hilarious because there's almost an element of Mystery Science 3000 to it.
Yeah.
So they sit there, like, when it's a bad episode, they sit there and talk shit about it.
Yeah.
And it is fucking hilarious because you're like, yeah, that's a pretty bad fucking episode.
Mm.
But,
that's cool. So you guys are going to have the episodes on while you're
I'm
podcasting?
still trying to flush it out, but that's what I'm thinking. Like, we're going to watch it, like, well, I don't know if it's...
Do you want to have it, like, screen and screen when we do it?
I don't know.
And we can put it on, we can watch it, like, for homework.
Yeah.
Get our notes, and then we'll do a screen and screen, but we'll have that silent as we talk about it.
Yeah.
And then we can put up,
Time signature?
closed caption.
Oh, yeah.
Closed caption.
Are you
for
guys
that.
renting the Geeking Out studio for that, or?
Yeah.
Might
Yeah.
have to, yeah.
I'll just forfeit my salary
Okay.
to do that.
Makes
How's
sense.
that?
Pretty good.
Is it good?
Just answer
Yeah,
the
we'll
emails for me, and
forfeit
that
his
should be good.
salary, not mine.
Yeah.
Make
Yeah.
it work.
You want me to answer all the emails?
Yeah.
Done
That'll
and
be
done.
the payment.
By done and
Fuck
done.
off, fuck off, fuck off. That's how you answer every email.
No, by done and done, I mean I'm already done.
Yeah. Look at the inbox. Oh, nothing again. That wasn't bad. But getting back to what you said about Paladins and Jedi, in his game, the last campaign we did or whatever, I played a Jedi and I tried to keep it Jedi-ish the whole way and not, like, turn to the dark side or whatever.
Yeah, it's
You
hard.
did a great job, by the way.
It's tough, but I wanted to, like, as soon as I was thinking, I'm going to play a Star Wars game. First thing, I want to be a Force user, Jedi, and I'm going to try to stay down that line, and that's, sort of what I somewhat did for the most part.
And the rest of the players couldn't have made it more difficult for him.
No, we had everyone wanted to just murder everyone and all this stuff, and I'm just, like, in game, I literally almost left twice as my character, and I was just like, oh, this crew's not for me, I need to leave.
Yeah.
And then they talked me back into staying or whatever, but...
They tricked you.
It made for a lot of good role playing, though.
That's cool. That's
Definitely. I mean, the conflict was what made it in some instances. The fact that there was conflict within, and that everybody played it out so well, is what made it a good game.
Hell yeah. That's like, if that happens at LARP, that's the best. Is when, like, people get so invested and, like, there's tense moments of just awesome roleplay.
Mm-hmm.
So good.
Yeah, for this cast, I was doing a little bit of research on LARPing. Like, I knew the general idea what it was, but I was like, this is tabletop fucking RPGing basically.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just to a different level. Like, instead of a little Lego guy, it's me that I'm moving.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mini,
Well, for a real meta situation, one of the characters I play at Legends, his name's Father Roderick. He's a historian, and people will come to my area, which is underneath the cabin. Like underneath the cabin, there's the basement. It's just like a dugout hole, and I have a D&D table set up, and they play as other people in the game. In a D&D game inside of the game, and it's just like
So it's just like this crazy inception of D&D within a D&D within a LARP.
Yeah.
That's funny because in one of my games, we did it so... Charlie, who plays this character named Mosby, Mosby is this kind of sociopathic serial killer type of assassin dude, right? So in the game, he played an RPG game with some other people on the ship. But in the RPG game, his character, Mosby's character, was a dude named Charlie who had just gotten a book deal. Which is exactly what happened to Charlie in real life.
Oh, cool. Well, good for Charlie.
But, yeah. But the catch was the RPG game was naked. Everybody was naked. Because it was Mosby, and Mosby's a freak.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. If you meet Charlie, which his nickname is Creepy Charlie,
Okay.
which is a term of endearment from me.
Wait, have I met Creepy Charlie?
You must know Charlie. Charlie Harrington.
What does he look like?
He's kind of tall, light colored hair, bald on top. He was in the Star Wars game when you played.
I remember you saying Creepy Charlie, and then when I asked why is he
why you
Creepy
stopped
Charlie,
playing.
and you told me because he's kind of creepy.
No, he just seems creepy.
Yeah,
but
that's
he's not.
that's what you said. You said he seems creepy. And you
Like
said
when
he's
you
a good
first
guy.
meet him,
Yeah.
you're like, oh, that guy's creepy. You get to know. He's like the nicest guy ever. Would
Yeah.
never do anything bad.
And probably one of our biggest fans.
No, he's an awesome dude. But there was like
we
something.
talk shit about him.
Yeah. But like,
Who-
ever since I can remember, I've just been playing up this thing where he's like super creepy. Like, he would put something on. He would put something on Facebook like, oh, taking a hike in the woods, and he'll take pictures of these beautiful shots, and I'm like looking for places to bury the bodies.
So you're trying to turn him creepy. You're
So
trying to
it's your
yeah.
fault.
Yeah.
No,
And
he's
then-
there already for sure.
And then I have this program where I can like make mock magic cards.
Oh,
So
cool.
I actually made a magic card with him. And there's this picture he has on the internet where he was like drunk and he has his shirt off and whatnot, and he's basically a woo girl in the picture. Woo, right? So I put that picture in the magic card, and the title of it was Creepy Charlie, and it was just like a bunch of messed up stuff. Like there was that card, the Creepy Charlie card. There was Creepy Charlie's sex dungeon, and Creepy Charlie's sex dungeon tapped for all color mana.
Was that an enchantment?
No, it was a land.
Oh,
It was
wow.
a land. And Creepy Charlie's sex dungeon tapped for all color mana because Creepy Charlie doesn't discriminate.
One of each, or does it make 5 mana?
And then what?
Does it make 5 mana, or does it make?
No, one. Whatever
Okay,
color you
alright.
want. And then there was
That's
there was an
Yeah.
enchantment. There was an enchantment called the Friend Zone.
Mm-hmm.
And Creepy Charlie could be placed in the friend zone, and you could be safe for a while.
That's actually an interesting mechanic.
You should have made him a planeswalker. You could have made like 3 different buildings.
No,
for
I
him.
made him a legendary creature. I didn't want to like. I wanted him to I didn't want
You
him
didn't
to.
want him to have an ego. Be a planeswalker.
He would have been too powerful.
But he would have gave you more things to use.
Huh?
Just make them.
You could have put more stuff on the card.
Yeah. No, I had plenty of stuff on the card.
Just give him like a +1, and then
Like, oh,
like a -15, so it balances it out.
When Creepy Charlie enters the battlefield, everybody becomes uncomfortable.
That's good. No one.
All players, all planeswalkers, creatures, and players become uncomfortable.
They can't block.
There were no actual real mechanics that affected anything in game. Just like it just affected the people for real.
Just imagine taking that card and going to like a real tournament. Alright, here you go. You're like, what the hell's that card?
But for
I
the
feel
record,
uncomfortable. What the fuck is this?
for the record, Charlie is not actually creepy and one of my favorite people. Just saying. But he's totally down with playing it up, so
Yeah.
I don't give a shit.
It was so many worth getting kicked out of a tournament just to bring it up.
What do you mean I'm playing Creepy Charlie? I just played Creepy Charlie's sex dungeon. It taps for all colored mana.
Doesn't discriminate.
Does not discriminate.
My favorite right there.
Oh, and one of them was like, I forgot, like Creepy Charlie, the creature, could place another creature or player into Creepy Charlie's sex dungeon, and then there would be like an escape token put on the sex dungeon.
Yeah.
And then there was a little disclaimer that said it doesn't matter because no one ever escapes Creepy Charlie's sex dungeon. So,
Wow.
so just
A little glimpse of false hope.
Yeah. It's more
little
of like
taste of hope.
it's more of like a bragging, right? Like when you get the token, you put it on the table, like your counter, and players are like, "You faced Creepy Charlie."
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
so like there were like all these mechanics that didn't actually do anything.
Yeah.
it just made it more.
Didn't they have a joke set recently, or a joke?
Oh, they did. Yeah,
Block or
yeah,
something?
yeah. I forgot what it was called. It was Unhinged, Unglued, and I don't remember what the new one is. The new and it's got some really nice full art lands in it
Yeah,
too.
I wanted to play that. I haven't played Magic in a really long time, but I saw that and it was like just like goofy nonsense. And
I just want the fucking lands. I can give a shit about the cards.
Mhm.
To tell you the truth.
I'm still obsessed over the Zendikar lands, like
Oh,
the
yeah.
full like edge to edge like lands that they've done.
Mhm.
I have
Fucking cool.
I have I have both Zendikar sets, full art, like 4 or 5 copies of each one, I have a full set of the Egyptian set that came out recently. That one had 2 sets of art lands too, which are really nice.
Okay.
And I have some of the old unglued and unhinged lands. I definitely have some the islands where it's like an overhead aerial shot of the island. Do you know the one I'm talking about? It almost looks picture perfect. I have a bunch of those.
No, I'm not too sure.
And I have the green one from the other set, which has the cool little border. But I've been a collector of the full art lands since, I don't know, I just always liked them. You know what's funny is that second set of Zendikar. I went out and bought one of those fat packs or whatever box set that comes with a whole set of lands. And as I'm like, I open it up and I'm like, all these fucking full art lands, right? And I start going through the set and I'm like, oh, this is pretty bad. When the thing I'm most excited about of this set are the fucking lands.
Yeah.
This set is shit. But whatever.
Hey, full out lands, you can use them forever. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah. The full art lands are awesome. And whenever I like create a deck from scratch, I always try to put some fancy lands in.
What are your main 2 colors?
My main 2 colors? That's tough to say. I've had a red deck that has been evolving for like close to a decade. I have a green and black deck of elves that I really like. I like blue. It just depends how I feel.
Do you have a least favorite?
Blue.
No,
Blue.
I really like blue. I like blue.
Yeah, I was a fan of blue.
I
was mainly white blue.
I have a blue and white artifact deck. That is not. It doesn't have a lot of the staples that a blue deck would have. It's basically a blue and white creature deck. Like, you don't have blue creature decks. It's more like magic oriented counterspell kind of thing. This blue deck that I have is just totally opposite of what blue normally does.
How does that work for you?
It works fine. It's basically, the feel of it is more of like a green deck, because all the artifacts come out and I have cards in it that pump up all the artifacts, and then I can turn everything in the deck is an artifact, and then I can turn the artifacts that aren't creatures into creatures. So when I attack, it's like everything I have on the board, even things that I'm using for land, are attacking you. You know,
that's pretty cool.
And I call that the Portuguese screwdriver. And on the cover of the deck, I have a picture of Thor's hammer, because everybody knows a Portuguese screwdriver is really a hammer.
Okay.
Because that's how we handle shit.
Represent.
Which is also like one of the reasons why I've, like, since I was a kid, like, Thor was my favorite superhero, because
he had a hammer.
What's more Portuguese than handling your problems with a fucking hammer?
That's true. And he drinks a lot.
Yeah. That's racist, motherfucker.
That's right, in Portuguese.
It's true, too. But
so usually I'm a pretty aggressive Magic player. That's why I didn't like blue, because it was more like control, basically.
Yeah.
Fuck with people, it's slow, and take cards off the top, and
Red, green?
blah, blah. Mostly white, green. I like white weenie, sort of. I played standard. I started off with red because it just seemed like my speed, but I didn't really get behind it too much. And I went full white, and then I went white green before I stopped playing. But it was fun.
Let's see. I started white artifact. It was like this core set. Like, you know, the creatures, the core, like that race. So.
Oh yeah, that's old school.
Yeah, so I was like using.
Sheesh.
So I was using that and, like, you know, just trying to get like every kind of like artifact equipment, because they had this boost, which like every equipment that you add on them, like, it just boosts them up.
Oh yeah.
So that was like my first approach, and then I slowly like started getting into blue and combining like white blue, and then I went full blue, where there was like I tried to create an illusion deck where it had like illusion creatures. And I was playing standard with Moose, and that was like the only deck that got me like as high as like 8th place in tournament.
Yeah.
and I was really loving it, but it was very short lived because like the next set that came out just kind of like destroyed like my deck. But I'm still like very, very partial to that, so I kind of stick with blue because that seemed more my speed. But I would say that was like a blue creature deck because I had a lot of illusions. It's just okay, one hit, they're gone. Here's the next one. I just kept throwing them out there.
That's pretty cool.
It was pretty cool. It was fun.
You know, I would say one of my favorite decks is it's actually, I got the recipe for the deck online. So the basic the general like structure of it is, you know, I didn't make it, but I definitely added my own twist. So it's basically you know, the Stoneforge Mystic. So when she comes in, you can automatically go in your deck and grab an artifact and put it in your hand. And on turn 2, when she can start tapping, you can just tap her, press 2 mana, and put whatever that artifact is onto the table.
Whoa.
So if it's like a Batter Skull, which is 5 mana or something crazy
Something
like that.
Yeah.
Boom. I just spent 2 mana, turn 2, I got a Batter Skull on the board.
That's bonkers.
But also, I also have like an array of those swords. You know those old school swords, like
Yeah, you're using those with your core deck.
I was, yeah, because I had one Stoneforge Mystic, like in my deck, but I never got to like actually like put her into effect.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I should let you take a look at this deck. You'll be like, holy shit. We should get together and play. Do you still have cards?
I still have some. I don't know if they're.
If you guys ever want to get together, I have extra decks. I have like 10 working decks that are just fucking diesel. I'm just saying.
I can say a thing once we're not recording. But...